of course, the first thing we're doing is monitoring the child care legislation that is out there. And quite honestly, it is like a rolling ball. It continually changes. And we are trying to stay on top of it as best as we possibly can. And it is my understanding that we are going to go to debate tomorrow on several of the bills. This is the first time we've ever had this many bills related to childcare in a session. And so we're pretty excited. At this point, everything that we're seeing, we're comfortable with, we're in support of, and we're thrilled that on the Senate side, we're seeing some companion bills to go with what's in the House. So we're pretty excited about that.
Dawn, could I interrupt you just a second? Because I really worked on the child care thing when I was in the legislature. One of the things I think was said by a rural senator at the time, male senator, saying, oh, we really don't need all this child care. We have mothers and grandmothers that take care of children. Okay, that's out of the question anymore. But what I think is worthwhile is really, even though I'm from an urban area, really going after the rural legislators on talking about the importance of childcare, so your wife or your daughter or whatever can do other things and still have a family. Push that a little bit more. Just not that the urban people shouldn't hear that too, but rural people might still have a little, oh, well, we really don't need that. We're having that taken care of, but not anymore. And so just an idea.
Totally agree, Maggie. And you and I have not talked before today, correct?
So, no, we have not.
Okay, excellent. So one of the things you all know is the Women's Foundation is working with 30 different communities all across the state on increasing the availability of childcare. Normally, we like to be at the Capitol to meet with our legislators, but because of the pandemic, we're not able to do that. So we felt we still needed to do this outreach. So I sent an email to all of the 30 communities and asked if anybody wanted to co-host with me a local legislative session. At this point, 12 of the 15 or 30 have said yes, and we are in the middle of planning those sessions right now. And really what we're going to do is share the childcare story, what's going on, why childcare is important, not just to families, but also to businesses and communities and things like that. And then we're going to tell stories from the front line. So we'll have providers talk, we'll have business leaders, we'll have parents talk. We've got in one community a woman who became pregnant and she couldn't find childcare, so she's willing to share her story. And then we're going to go into the actual legislation, what's currently out there now, how we would like to see our legislators vote, why we'd like to see them vote that way, and then what's not out there yet that we would like them to consider out there. And so that's one of the reasons why we're monitoring, is we want to be able to present an accurate, up-to-date current picture when we do meet with our legislators. I can share with you all where those different sessions are going to be, and I would love it if you would like to be a part of them and join us. But I see that EJ is now with us. And so we're going to I'm going to turn everything over to Ann, and then she will introduce EJ, and we'll move on to our Advocacy 101.
EJ, thanks for joining us today, and I'll let you take the floor. And here I will give you screen sharing.
Great. It looks like I already have that, Ann. But if I don't, then I'll let you know. Okay. Computer issues, everybody, right? Like I'm late today because we are home quarantining, keeping ourselves and our 8-year-old son safe. My wife is a public school educator, and she is teaching in person right now. So that's, something that is definitely a stressor for our family. And our son, we made a decision to keep him home, to keep him safe, and we're trying to reduce the spread that way. But with that comes virtual learning and virtual engagement. So I do apologize for being late today, and I do apologize for any technical issues that may happen with my work computer, which seems to be dealing with all kinds of issues today. So I am really excited to be part of this. I think I've said this to several folks privately and publicly, but I believe the Iowa Women's Foundation, in particular the work of Dawn and the executive board, has been really inspiring to us nationally for Save the Children Action Network. Really excited with this broad coalition. I mean, everybody that's on this call, it's a great example of all the different voices that can come together on one essential issue to help out childcare providers and our children be successful. So, you know, I'm really excited to be part of this as well. So let me go ahead and start sharing our PowerPoint. And hopefully I can get it to start. 1 second here. All right. All right. If I start this, will you be able to see it? Can you see this?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, great, awesome. So I try to take the road that advocacy is easy. A lot of times people see advocacy as a very intimidating thing. We have a wide variety of different perspectives, so I may blow through this pretty quickly and just sort of leave the end of it for our conversation and question and answer. But you know, oftentimes people, you know, see these elected leaders at the state house or at the federal level, or even our municipalities as being these untouchable creatures. Well, they're people just like me and you, and at the end of the day, they work for me and you. And anybody here that manages people knows that if your employee isn't doing what they should be doing, they should hear from you. And if they continue to disobey, then maybe they need to find a different job. So that is how I take advocacy and kind of tear the veil around. So we'll kind of go through, Ann already described a little bit on how Save the Children Action Network is involved in the Iowa Child Care Coalition, but I'll talk a little bit about SCAN. We'll talk about how this pandemic has impacted early childhood programs, some state and national data, go through advocacy as a tactic, and go through some key points to kind of level set and how you contact your lawmakers, and then talk a little bit about what we're up to with the coalition and with SCAN if you wanted to get more involved. Okay, so just a snapshot. Save the Children Action Network was created in 2014 as the political advocacy arm of Save the Children, the over 100-year-old NGO and voice for children, to be the political voice for kids. We act as the voice for kids by bringing their issues directly to lawmakers in Washington, D.C., and in state capitals and local communities across the country. So I'm one of the state managers that actually has a physical presence, and I'm based here in Des Moines, actually Windsor Heights. So since the pandemic, childcare costs are 41% higher than they were prior to the pandemic. And just according to an article that was published today, on a list of state by state cost increases, Iowa ranks 13th with a 60% jump in childcare costs. We also continue to see a major drop in enrollment for childcare providers, which provides an opportunity for investment as well as public-private partnerships. 2 out of every 5 providers are certain that they will close permanently without federal funding. 21% of companies have had employees quit, and 13% of parents have lost their job due to lack of childcare. Childcare is getting an increased attention due to advocates and business leaders, but we must continue to advocate to see substantive change. It's one thing to kiss babies and shake hands, but it's another thing to actually invest in the programs and change that we want to see. So advocacy is a way to do that. So just a simple definition is advocacy is getting your elected leaders to listen and to act. A major component of Save the Children Action Network is we mobilize volunteers. I'm the only state staff for Iowa. I have volunteers in Cedar Rapids, Sioux City, and in Central Iowa. We're incorporating other communities since we're doing things virtually. But we have quite a few dozen advocates around the state that before the pandemic were going out like Kathy here prior to the Iowa caucuses, asking questions to candidates, talking to elected leaders and getting them on record so that we can hold them accountable afterwards. But the main thing is that the secret to Save the Children Action Network's success and our volunteers is that the personal story is the most important thing that you can share with a lawmaker. All these statistics that I think that people get hung up on, and why advocacy can sometimes seem to be a little bit difficult, is that we feel like we have to know all these facts. The main thing that you have at your disposal with either your company, the organization that you're with, or the children that you are serving, is the stories that you provide. What are they going to say? They're going to say you're lying about your own personal story. You know, it's the one thing that can't be taken away from you, and is your power. So I think the big question is it effective? Does it matter? Does it matter when we talk about our stories, and does it really matter to lawmakers? Well, this wonderful organization called the Congressional Management Foundation does surveys each year. Sometimes they skip a year, mostly of chiefs of staff of Congress and state lawmakers. And their goal is to, as a 501c3 nonpartisan nonprofit, is to kind of bridge the gap between constituents and lawmakers and find effective ways to communicate. So according to the 2020 Congressional Management Survey, they found that senators and representatives, one, are relying more on remote interactions with constituents. So we can kind of feel like, oh, this this remote engagement doesn't really matter. Like, you know, these congressional members are not gonna care. But they are relying on these remote interactions to inform their policy and stay connected to their constituents. So, you know, as we look here at the breakdown, video conferences with the constituents, 65% show that is a very impactful way. Teleconferences, telephone town hall meetings, online videos with town halls, and updating members on their websites. Another thing that people might be kind of seeing is an uptick in social media engagement with constituents, whether it be like Facebook live chats or you know, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. You know, social media for senators and representatives continues to be an avenue to engage constituents. But I think the exciting thing for our work at SCAN, as well as folks that are on this call, is that the personal messages hold much more weight to our lawmakers. According to the survey, advocacy campaigns like the ones that we run are, you know, 7% more important during this crisis. To understand constituents' views and opinions, as well as communicate members' views and activities. But we see a huge jump in individualized emails and phone calls. So you'll kind of see these form letters that SCAN will do as part of our advocacy campaigns that will kind of like fill out the message to our members for you, kind of like, you know, if anybody's taken any of our actions, you'll see that. If you just add one personal anecdote to that email, it disrupts the machine learning that Congress sometimes uses to weed out generalized petitions and things like that. And it also, again, holds much more weight. And, you know, if you wanted to kind of jot down information from from some of the documents that Don and the team have been working on around the different advocacy proposals, jot those down, you know, include that in a personalized email to your lawmakers. That can be incredibly important. And yes, our members of Congress and our state lawmakers are taking phone calls, and that information is public information that you can find out on your members' websites or the state and local government websites. I guess the question is it making a difference? Like, does it make a difference? Yes, but is it making a difference? So I can speak from SCAN, is that in 2020, we made national difference because we track our messages and our engagements. We sent 667,000 messages to lawmakers around the country. We helped pass the Bipartisan Child Care as Essential Act, which included $50 billion in funding for for childcare providers. We secured commitments from President-elect Biden to invest in and protect children. So my volunteers were out talking to Biden and his campaign prior to the Iowa caucuses and asked him specific questions on his substantive policies that he would enact if he was elected, including, and this doesn't pertain to the issues that this group is working on, but one of the things that we've been concerned about at SCAN has been the separation of children at the U.S.-Mexico border, and looking for safe and protection for asylum seekers. And so I asked President Biden on camera on a TV interview if he would rescind the Remain in Mexico policies on day one. Ended up being one of the very first policies that he enacted when he is signing these executive orders. So he made the commitments and he's fulfilling these commitments in his packages and things like that. We sent 262,000 text messages encouraging our constituents to get out and vote, and we to help encourage more engagement in democracy, so that we could actually elected leaders that care about our issues, because we want people that care about our issues to go out and vote, right? I hope everybody here voted, and if you didn't, you get a pass this time, but not next time. State work. So this is just in the last month, as part of the Iowa Iowa Child Care Coalition, we sent over 650 emails to Iowa lawmakers. We got responses directly to constituents about investing in childcare. We included some key language in, like, for instance, Iowa's lost a third of its childcare workforce in the last 5 years. Governor Reynolds included some of our language that we sent her in the 262 emails that we sent her prior to the condition of the state address. She included our language in the preface before she's talked about some of her childcare proposals. So we can see that, we can track that. Iowa lawmakers, the first 5 bills in the Iowa House were childcare bills. They weren't perfect. And there was a lot that we have been kind of working with our lawmakers, but that's huge. It shows that this is bipartisan. It shows that childcare is something that Iowa lawmakers care about. And I think what I'll do is I'll pause here about some of the figures that I've gone over, as well as some of the state and national data, and open it up for any questions folks have for clarification. It's a small group, so I thought we could be more conversational.
EJ, did I not see a survey that Save the Children Action Network did, along with, I think, the the Association for the Education of Young Children, that surveyed voters, and they say 9 out of 10 voters want childcare a priority for their elected officials, regardless of their party affiliation?
Yes. So we did. We also do national surveys in battleground states prior to presidential races. But we also do, sometimes we'll commission local surveys of voters, and we'll use really good pollsters that are Republican and Democratic pollsters. And we put out pretty good data that reflects actual voter attitudes. I know that polls have gotten kind of a weird rap recently, but definitely is true. Yes, Dawn.
EJ, this is Maggie Kinsman. And first of all, your statistics on the close contact with legislators is really, really valuable. I just want to give one little push to a phone call rather than even an email. A phone call to me as a legislator, I wanted to hear the passion in your voice on what you were talking about. And I couldn't see that in the email. And now part of it is my age. Younger people, I think, like email better than I did, but I still think actually a phone call, the legislator can hear how not only is childcare important, but it's important because of this particular incident and it was really important to you. And I think hearing your passion is even better than sending an email.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we talk about with our personal stories, right, Maggie, is and everybody. Personal stories hold much more weight for people. I mean, everybody remembers the term Joe the plumber. You may not remember what Joe the plumber was about, but we remember Joe the plumber in the 2008 election, right? Because it was a personal story. It was a face to the presidential race and to make a point. So, yep, yes.
About phone calls. I was recently involved in an advocacy effort on the amendment, the proposed amendment to restore voting eligibility. And we had, during 1 week, we had about 750 emails that went. My question is, at what point does a phone call become so annoying that it's actually not helping? If we had made 750 phone calls to those legislators, I'm not sure when they would have had time to do anything else. So Maggie might be a really big help, or maybe your experience. That's question number one. At what point is it too much? It actually becomes a problem. And the second question is, we all know that if you're going to advocate, you should advocate to your own representative. But if your own representative already supports your point of view, where's the best place to put your effort?
Sure, and I will take time. Let's take some time to engage in that conversation at the end, Myrna. So hold that and bring that back up, because I would love to hear Maggie's point of view on this later. But in a nutshell, it's never enough. And then two, it's all about strategy and who can make the change that you want to see. So a lot of advocacy is around strategy mapping or power mapping. Who has the decision-making power to enact? Maybe it's the governor. Maybe it's a donor. And the business community has a lot that they can offer there, right? So those are some things to think about. And let's expand on that at the end, because I definitely want to show you a couple videos to help, and then kind of point you to some afterwards work. So one of the things that we wanted to share was the how to contact your Iowa lawmakers. I'm sorry, actually, this shouldn't be that slide. I apologize. I wanted to break up before I show you the how to contact, and I wanted to show you a video that Scan produced. It's a couple minutes that breaks down that elevator pitch, which is a way to put your personal story together in an effective communication with a lawmaker. So I'm gonna share that video real quick. Maybe. Can you folks hear it?
In 2 minutes, you have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of kids and mothers across the globe. Save the Children Action Network is the political voice for kids. And as an advocate of SCAN, you're helping make sure that every child has access to high-quality early learning, and that no mother or child across the globe dies of mental death. Your elevator pitch is a short, concise statement connecting your listener. Ready? Let's go. Legislators are busy, so be quick. And sharing why you care is easy. Just take a personal experience and connect it to your message, and then back it up with some facts. Wanna give it a shot?
My child went to preschool and did an excellent job. I want all kids to have the same opportunities.
That's not bad, but you didn't include any facts.
My child excelled when she went to preschool, but every kid deserves the same chance.
DJ, did we lose it?
Oh, I apologize. I'm not sure what happened. Let's go back. I apologize, guys. Like I said, wonderful computer problems.
If it could be louder, it'd be good.
Okay, but you could hear it? Everybody could hear it? I'll make it louder. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Out of 5 American kids never go to preschool, and many may never catch up.
To get comfortable with your message, write down your script. Be brief, just a few details, and then rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Thanks.
My child excelled when she went to preschool, but every kid deserves the same chance she has. A child's brain is mostly developed by age 5, yet 2 out of 5 American kids never go to preschool, and many may never catch up.
To get comfortable with your message, write down your script. Be brief, just a few details, and then rehearse, rehearse, rehearse.
Around the globe, proven interventions like immunization and clean medical tools could end preventable mother and child deaths by 2030.
Then, to make an ask, know what you want. Rehearse your specific request. Then be direct, polite, and make eye contact.
I'd like to ask you to become an advocate for kids and to co-sponsor the bipartisan Reach Every Mother and Child Act.
Your listener can make a difference. So be natural, be an advocate, and be ready for that elevator.
All right, so you get the message? Okay, cool. So I think what we want to emphasize again is that your elevator pitch should be short and concise. It should have an ask, and it should be personal, right? Those are the three main components of a good elevator pitch, right? So let me go back in. So the next piece I'm going to share is once you get your elevator pitch, once you figure out your ask, now it's important for you to be able to find out how you get into contact with your lawmakers. Iowa State Senator Sarah Trone-Garriott is a freshman senator from my district, Iowa Senate District 22, and she happens to be a friend of mine. I'm not advocating for her, one way or another, but I have had extensive conversations with her about the importance of engaging constituents. I'm not saying that it's my fault that she made this video, but she put together this really great video in light of the circumstance at the state legislature. Our legislature doesn't have a mask mandate, so that can kind of keep people away. It also is kind of weird with this virtual environment. So she kind of broke down how to get into contact with lawmakers, how to watch bills, and where to find the contact information for your lawmakers. So let's share that video real quick.
Hi, I'm Sarah Trone-Garriott, State Senator for Iowa Senate District 22. You don't have to come to the Capitol and meet with your legislator, and maybe right now you shouldn't. There's no mask mandate at the Capitol, so it's not the safest place to be, and things are working a little different. If you come to the Capitol, there's no one standing outside of the chambers to call out your legislators, which is something you might be used to. Also, the public's not invited to subcommittee hearings in person. So how can you stay connected? Well, here are a few ways. I'd recommend checking out the Iowa Legislative website. You can watch what's happening live in the House and Senate chambers. On this website, you can also find subcommittee information. Now, this is a little complicated, so stick with me. First, click on Committees and Schedules. Click on Meeting. And here is the subcommittee schedule. Scroll down to find your bill. And here is the place to make public comment. An agenda is where you will find the Zoom link. You'll be able to comment in the Zoom meeting, but right now the legislature is not recording these meetings. On any bill, any general topic, reach out to your legislators. not just your own legislators, but those who are on the subcommittee, the full committee, or in leadership. Here's where you can find out who your legislator is and the whole list of legislators and their contact info. You can also call the Senate switchboard to leave a message for your legislator at 515-281-3371. Things are a little bit different this year, and we have to work harder to stay connected. Don't hesitate to reach out and follow me on social media for more updates at Sarah for Iowa. Stay safe.
So pretty neat when they kind of offer that information, right? And I will provide a link to these, Anne, so that you can send it out to folks afterwards. But I think that it's really important that we're making an impact like that to our lawmakers. So let's continue. So we already went through our personal stories. So what are we working on at Save the Children Action Network? What is happening after, after some of the things that some of the headway that we've made at the beginning of the year? So SCAN, like Ann mentioned, SCAN and Iowa Women's Foundation are members of the Iowa Child Care Coalition. So again, the coalition, through nonpartisan legislative recommendations, seeks to increase access, affordability, and quality of childcare while increasing the stability of the childcare workforce across Iowa. The coalition is working on sending over 1,200 Valentine's postcards from providers in all 99 counties to Iowa Senate lawmakers, urging them to invest in childcare. Why the Senate? Well, in the House, there are some bills that reflect some of the Iowa Women's Foundations and the Iowa Child Care Coalition's legislative priorities. Again, we're still continuing to work with lawmakers to introduce new bills. But in the Senate, we haven't seen things that kind of reflect the ability to move in a bipartisan fashion. So our goal is to try to press our senators before it's too late to try to come up with some bills and work with us. And we think that getting 1,200 Valentines would be a really great way to do that. All right. Another thing that we're doing is we're setting up in-district meetings with our members of Congress and our lawmakers through the Iowa Child Care Coalition. Our SCAN advocates are grouped into different kind of areas of focus, and our legislative outreach team is really good at building relationships with Iowa lawmakers and their staffers. So much so that Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne and Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, both of their staff are work very closely with our DC staff and let us know when bills are up for floor debate quite a bit ahead of time, which gives our advocates time to push members of committees or leadership to hear those bills ahead of their full debate. Tonight, if you're interested, we are hosting our 2021 Heartland Regional Kickoff for Save the Children Action Network. So it's going to include Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and a number of other states. Our special guest is Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne. She's going to talk about some of the proposals for the COVID stimulus package, as well as some of the quote American Rescue packages that the Biden administration is working on, and kind of share how advocates have actually impacted her as a lawmaker from SCAN and other organizations, and share some inside information on what is effective and impactful for an for a U.S. member of Congress. So thanks again for listening to my PowerPoint presentation. If you want to get a hold of me for anything, whether it be for additional trainings like this or to ask me questions about advocacy, you can always email me at ewallace@savechildren.org. So why don't we open it up for discussion and conversation, and maybe what we do is we go back and we start with with Myrna's question. Did I get to the heart of what you were asking, or do you want to expand a little bit more on that?
The strategy on, talk to the folks who can make the decisions, even if they're not your rep. I think that probably is the way you need to go. I'm still wondering what feedback you get from legislators about if a legislator is presented with 200 phone calls in one morning, does it ever get to a point where they say, I got it, let me just act, leave me alone?
Well, lawmakers and Maggie, I'm sure that you will back me up on this, but most lawmakers care about two things: getting elected and reelected. Because even the good ones, in order to do anything, they need to be able to hold office. So the numbers, right? And if you can show the number of people are from their constituency, right? You get 450 of your constituents that are saying, I care about this, I care about this, I care about this. Then they're going to think that means 450 votes plus the votes of their family and their community members that care about this particular issue. So man, I better do something about this to make these people happy so I don't get unelected. And so, don't be fearful of a drumbeat from diverse populations. It's another reason why when you do advocate, you make sure to credential yourself as a constituent of that particular member of Congress or Iowa lawmaker.
Which just emphasizes the point that if I'm not their constituent, does that then not empower me? What do I do then? We have lots of issues that my representatives happen to support very, very well. So I can't see my quandary.
Yep, I think, and that's where the strategy and the drumbeat really matter. So especially if you're the great thing about being part of a group like the Iowa Women's Foundation, Save the Children Action Network, or the Children's Coalition, is that you represent multiple communities with one interest, right? That's another way for you to credential yourself and allow lawmakers to see that your opinion isn't just your own. I'm also of the opinion that if you're an elected member of Congress, you represent everybody in the entire country. I mean, I know you represent your particular constituencies, but you're elected to move the country in a particular direction based off of the mandate of the vote. Same thing with Iowa lawmakers and the governor. They are elected to represent the interest of all Iowans. So, that's the power that you have inside of you. Your opinion matters, Myrna. And even if you're not a particular constituent of one lawmaker, you have the right to share that opinion, especially if it's an informed opinion that helps them do their job better.
And I can piggyback off that a little bit. My wife worked on Capitol Hill for a few years, and
Great.
Her member of Congress responded to every email, every phone call. Did not matter if you were in his district, in the state. So some members are a little bit different than that, but EJ is right. I mean, it's nice to just have people aware of the situation. But yeah, some of it's just some more grassroots in those communities as well to get them on your side and advocate.
I'm sure Ryan,
I'd just like to say a couple of things.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Getting all those phone calls, et cetera, probably wouldn't take them all. But someone in the staff, or you have one secretary, would take some of them. But one of the important things to do, even if you're not as knowledgeable or that isn't your state representative or state senator, is to go to the community forums when you're back home and get to know different, not just your own representative and senator, but other representatives and senators who, when you call, they will recognize your name, and that will make a big difference to them.
Mm-hmm. And to piggyback off of that and what Ryan was saying, it's about relationship building. It's just, and that's business, and that's also politics. If you can become really good friends with the scheduler, for instance, you're always going to get an accurate account of when or if you can get on the particular member's schedule. So it's all about relationships, and sharing your voice and your opinion regardless. So showing up to those forums is an opportunity for you to get to know staff as well, so that they recognize your name when they get an email from you.
And EJ, I would share with you that right now, a lot of the forums are being done virtually. So you can get to them. You don't have to, drive all over the state. You just need to get the link and be able to participate that way. So that'll help. We have just a few more minutes. Does anybody have any other specific questions on advocacy and what it means and how to do it for EJ?
I kind of have a two-thing question. One is, are we able to get our hands on that survey that Dawn talked about that you guys, the Save the Children, did to show that most of the voters are for childcare? Is that on you guys' website?
Yeah, you should be able to find it. Actually, you know what? Just look for that in the documents after as a follow-up. I'll include that link as well.
Okay. And then my second question, because I'm very new to advocacy too, I've only been doing it for a few years now, is I'm starting to see that a lot of our legislators have heard the same thing, seen the same data. It's kind of ran through in their heads, and except for those personal stories, of course. So how really do we move forward? A lot of them are starting to ask, what are 3 things that could really make a change? And of course, we need a variety of different things that could make a change when it comes to like children and providers in Iowa. So I guess, how do you really stick that out there? Like, what do you need or what you are asking for?
One, I mean, this is really funny. So, and you're not funny for saying this, but we Iowans are very cognizant of being rude. Iowa nice is definitely a thing. And it's funny because I grew up, my family's from New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, which they are not polite and they don't care about offending whoever. So, I think we think in the back of our head, if I'm saying it too many times, they're going to get annoyed with me and they're not going to do what I need to do. It's a drumbeat, and saying the same information over and over and over again allows people like Governor Kim Reynolds to be able to say the information that we've been trying to get her to say for the past 3 years in her condition of the state address this past year. That happened because we created a drumbeat and because we annoyed the heck out of her staff. I think another thing is like doing it in a polite manner is important because you are a resource for our elected leaders. Your voice not only matters because you're a voter, but you're also a resource. So if you come at it from that angle, it definitely allows for our elected leaders to kind of see you in a resource light. And we've seen that come to fruition with some of our members, staffers as well. I don't remember if were those the answers you were looking for?
Well, the other thing, let me add on to that, Danielle. One of the things that the Iowa Child Care Coalition has done, and EJ shared with you that we've set an aligned agenda where we want to increase affordability, accessibility, and sustainability with the workforce. The Women's Foundation went even a little bit lower with our recommendations. So we really want them to look at a public-private partnership funding. We really want them to look at supporting wages statewide, ongoing, and not for one time. We want to see funding back in the budget for before and after school programming. We want to see the eligibility rate of CCA&A, child care assistance, increase. And we want to address a little bit more the child care effect. Well, some of that we know is being done through the House and some of it with Matt champion bills in the Senate, but we're still missing some of the other things. So we have some specific asks that we've agreed upon as a coalition. So what's really nice is if somebody from this coalition is talking to legislators in Sioux City and they're talking in Red Oak and Dubuque and Iowa City, they're all hearing the same message. They're all hearing the same asks. And that's what we think is the drumbeat that's really helping. So when we're done here, Anne will send out to you some of that information so you can see what those asks are. We've included talking points too for you. What is wages? Some of you might not know. Well, we've explained to you what wages is. We've explained in there why it's important. So you can kind of look at some of those talking points and incorporate that in what you're saying. And that gets me back to the local sessions that we're going to be hosting around the state. Again, I really hope that you all will be joining us. We'll send you out a list of where they're at. We're going to do exactly what EJ said. We're going to tell the personal stories. We're going to have a specific ask, and we're going to follow up on it afterwards. So
now, Dawn, can I just tie on to that a little bit? I know the last 2 years that, we have really partnered as a state for Early Childhood Iowa Women's Foundation, Child Care Resource and Referral, and we kind of all come up with the, similar asks so that, we're giving the same message. Now, I haven't seen that this year yet. And you're saying you've wrote yours. So have you seen others yet that we have normally partnered with that has come out?
Dawn, I have a copy of your 2021 agenda. Do you want me to share it real quick?
Yeah, we've got ours. I don't know I know that Mary has put something together for her region of CCR&R. I don't know if they have in the other regions. I also know that ECI has put together something that they have out there, and all of our other partners have. And I'll definitely share it. And you'll see on ours, we've got everybody's logo at the bottom who's participating in this, and the CCR&R logo and the ECI logo are on there. So our major partners are included in everything as well.
Right. And to your point, Danielle, about they feel like they've heard the data, and this is a simple way to reinforce what Don was saying. Our lawmakers aren't as savvy and smart as you think. So don't take
that bad, Maggie.
So what I mean is that nobody can be an expert on everything. Nobody. And so when a lawmaker says, what do I do? Literally, they're asking for you to give them some ideas. And it's the expert's job to do that. And you'll see that in the legislative document. I just went and looked at that again, Don. Don did a really good job of listing some of the some recommendations. Iowa Child Care Coalition went a little step even further of specifics on percentages of investments and things like that. And then that provides the meat of the sandwich that that lawmakers will use then to craft the piece of legislation.
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you, Sunday night at 7:00, Sunday night, I got a phone call, and I looked down and I thought, what is Senator Lofgren calling me for? And I picked up the call and I asked, and he was saying to me, I'm at the Capitol. I'm sitting here with a couple of my colleagues. We're having a conversation about childcare. And I can't find all of that data that we've been sharing and talking about through all of our sessions. Could you send it to me? And I immediately sent it right away. And so even though he's heard it, he remembered hearing it, he just couldn't find it. And so we resent it to him. So that's, you can't say it enough to know that they're going to have they may reach back out to you.
And feel free to redirect lawmakers to us or to Don or any of the members, and we'll make sure that they get the right answers that they need. It is okay. I'm going to say this. I want everybody's ears. It's okay to not know the answer. It's okay to say, I don't know, and I'll get back to you. The reason is because it gives you an opportunity for follow-up. My executive director of Save the Children Action Network, Mark Shriver, who happens to be a Kennedy, says that follow-up is the chariot of geniuses. And it is the thing that helps us get to where we need to go. Okay. So love that follow-up opportunity. I don't know. I'll get back to you.
But then make sure that you get back to them. That's the trick.
And the other thing I do too sometimes is I probably shouldn't admit this. I don't give them all the information right up front, in writing. I might say, well, I'll have to get back to you on that, because then that gives me the opportunity to follow up with them again and say, oh, by the way, I forgot to give this document to you when we were meeting. Here's some more information. So you can really keep having those contacts as you move through the session. And remember, we've only got what is it, 4 months, and then they're out of session, and then then it kind of changes a little bit. So that's it. Well, I know that we're over an hour, so I appreciate your time. We have started our third session advocacy program. We really hope that you all will join us, sign up to be a part of it. It's really just a way to follow legislation and to take action and to lend your voice to the work of the foundation and all of our partners across the state. So Anne, have I forgot anything? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. If any of you are interested in being a part of that third advocacy team, please let me know. I know a few of you have already jumped on board, and we'll send specific information out. We hope to follow this call here up with another one in a few weeks or month, just to give you another update as to where we are and what's happened, and would love to have you directly involved with the work that we're doing. So thank you for joining us today. And if you think of something else, another question later this afternoon, shoot it off to us. As EJ said, if we don't have the answer, we'll get the answer.
Yep. And thank you, EJ, so much for being with us today and for sharing your knowledge with everybody. And thank you all for joining us.